Hello everyone, my name is Zoya. There is one problem. I have been keeping all my money in my suitcase. I brought cash from home, and I also get a monthly allowance from my parents. But keeping cash in my room is not safe. My roommate Sarah told me, Zoya, you need to open a bank account. A bank account is like a digital locker where the bank keeps your money safely. So today, I am going to a bank to open an account. You will learn many new English words about banking, especially banking terms. So let's begin. This morning, I woke up early. The UK is 5 hours behind my home country, so I had to adjust my schedule. I took a shower and got dressed. I wore my warm jumper, that's the British word for sweater, and my comfortable jeans. I also wore my raincoat because it can rain any time. I took all my important documents. Documents are official papers. I took my passport, my student ID card, my BRP, that's the biometric residence permit, a card that shows I am allowed to live, my proof of address, and a letter from my university. Proof of address is a paper that shows where you live. They accept utility bills, tenancy agreements, or university letters. I put everything in a clean folder. Then I left my student accommodation and walked to the bank. The bank was only a 10-minute walk from my dorm. It was called Lloyds Bank. Lloyds is one of the biggest banks. The building was old but beautiful, made of red brick with large windows. Above the door, there was a black sign with a gold horse logo. I walked through the door. Bank doors are not always automatic. I had to push it open. Inside, the bank was warm and quiet. There was soft carpet on the floor, not marble like in my country. The carpet was blue and made the bank feel cozy. At the entrance, there was a friendly lady standing at a small desk. She was wearing a black blazer with the bank's logo. She was a greeter. A greeter is a person who welcomes you and tells you where to go. She smiled and said, "Good morning, love. How can I help you today?" In the UK, strangers often call you love, dear, or mate. It is normal and friendly. I said, "Good morning. I would like to open a bank account, please." She said, "Certainly. Have you booked an appointment?" I said, "No, I didn't know I needed one." She said, "No worries. Let me check if someone is free." She picked up a phone and spoke quietly. After a few seconds, she said, "You're in luck. Mr. Patel can see you in about 15 minutes. Please take a seat over there. Can I get you a cup of tea or coffee while you wait?" I was surprised. Free tea? At a bank? In my country, banks don't offer free drinks. I said, "Yes, please. A cup of tea would be lovely." She said, "Milk and sugar?" I said, "Just a little milk, no sugar." She went to a small machine and made me a cup of tea. She brought it to me in a proper ceramic mug, not a paper cup. I felt very fancy. I sat down on a comfortable sofa in the waiting area. The waiting area was very different from banks in my country. There were no plastic chairs. Instead, there were soft sofas and armchairs. There were magazines on a low table, The Economist, Hello, and Gardener's World. There was also a small bowl of wrapped mints. I took one mint. It was peppermint. It melted in my mouth. There were only 3 other people waiting. An old man was reading a newspaper. The newspaper was called The Times. He had reading glasses on the tip of his nose. A young woman was typing on her laptop. She had headphones on. A middle-aged man was looking at his phone, scrolling through something. Everyone was quiet. No one was shouting. No children were running around. It was peaceful. I looked around more. On the wall, there was a digital screen showing exchange rates. Exchange rates tell you how much one currency is worth in another currency. For example, 1 British pound was equal to about 120 rupees that day. I did the math in my head. My monthly allowance of 50,000 rupees was only about £416. That is not much in the UK. I needed to be careful with my spending. After about 10 minutes, a door opened. A young man in a suit came out. He smiled and said, "Zoya? I'm Mr. Patel. Please come in." I stood up, picked up my folder, and walked towards him. He shook my hand. People shake hands when they meet, even if they are young. He said, "Nice to meet you. Please follow me to my office." I followed Mr. Patel into a small office. It was a cubicle but a nice one, with glass walls, a desk, 2 chairs, a computer, and a small plant. He closed the door. He said, "Please sit down, Zoya. I understand you want to open a bank account." I said, "Yes, please. I am a student. I just arrived from your country name 3 weeks ago." He nodded and said, "Which university are you studying at?" I told him. He said, "That's a good university. I have a cousin who studied there." He then said, "Let me explain the different types of accounts we have. There is a basic current account, that's for everyday spending. There is a savings account, that's for money you want to save and not touch. And there is a student account, which has extra benefits like an interest-free overdraft." I looked confused. He smiled and said, "An overdraft is when the bank lets you spend more money than you have in your account. For students, up to £1,000 is often interest-free. That means you don't pay extra for borrowing." I said, "That sounds good. But I don't want to borrow money. I just want a safe place to keep my money and a debit card to pay for things." He said, "Then a basic current account is perfect for you. Let's get you started." He took a form from his drawer. It was a white paper with many boxes. He said, "This is the account application form. I will help you fill it out." Mr. Patel pointed to the first box. "Full name, as it appears on your passport." I wrote Zoya Fatima. Then date of birth, day, month, year. I wrote August 15, 2002. Then nationality. I wrote the name of my country. Then address, your full address including postcode. A postcode is like a zip code. Postcodes are very specific, sometimes just for one street or even one building. I wrote my student accommodation address carefully. Then he asked for my phone number and email address. I gave both. Then he asked, "Do you have a national insurance number?" A national insurance number is a unique number the government gives to residents. It is needed for work and for some bank accounts. I said, "Not yet. I just arrived 3 weeks ago." He said, "No problem. You can apply for one online. And you can open a basic account without it. But you will need it later if you want to work." I said, "Okay, I will apply for it." He then asked for my passport and BRP. He took photocopies using a small machine next to his computer. He also asked for my proof of address. I gave him the letter from my university. It had my name, my room number, and the university's letterhead. He said, "This is perfect." Then he said, "You also need to choose a nominee, someone who will get your money if something happens to you. This is called a beneficiary." I said, "I want my mother." He said, "Write her full name, her address, and her relationship to you." I wrote my mother's details. Then he said, "Now, please sign here at the bottom." I signed my name. He checked everything and said, "Perfect. Your account will be open within 3 to 5 working days. You will receive your debit card and sort code by post." I said, "Sort code? What is a sort code?" He explained, "A sort code is a 6-digit number that identifies your bank branch. It is like an address for your bank account. You will need it to receive money from someone or to set up direct debit." Mr. Patel then said, "To activate your account, you need to make an initial deposit. That means you need to put some money into the account. The minimum is £1. But you can deposit more if you like. I opened my bag. I had brought £500 in cash. I had exchanged my money at the airport when I arrived. I took out £100 and gave it to him. He counted the notes. Banknotes are different colors, the £5 note is blue, the £10 note is orange, the £20 note is purple, and the £50 note is red. I gave him 5 £20 notes. He said, "That's £100. He filled out a deposit slip. A deposit slip is a small paper that shows how much money you are putting into the bank. He asked me to sign it. I signed. He then gave me a receipt. He said, "Keep this receipt safely. It shows that you deposited £100 on this date. Your passbook will be sent to you by post in about a week." A passbook is a small booklet where all your transactions are printed. Transactions are when money goes in or out of your account. I put the receipt in my folder. I was so happy. I now have a bank account. I am officially a resident with a bank account in Britain. Before leaving, I decided to ask Mr. Patel about some banking words that confused me. I said, "Mr. Patel, what is a cashpoint?" He laughed. "Ah, that's a good question. Cashpoint is the British word for ATM. Some people also call it a cash machine or a hole in the wall. Hole in the wall. That is such a funny name for an ATM. I laughed too. Then I asked, "What is a cheque?" I see that word everywhere. He said, "A cheque is a piece of paper that tells the bank to pay a specific amount of money to a specific person." People don't use cheques very often now because we have online banking. But some older people still use them. Then I asked, "What is a standing order?" He said, "A standing order is when you tell the bank to send the same amount of money to the same person every week or every month. For example, if you pay rent to your landlord every month, you can set up a standing order. The bank will automatically send the money on the same date each month. You don't have to do anything." That sounded very useful. Then I asked, "What is a direct debit?" He said, "A direct debit is similar, but the company takes money from your account instead of you sending it. For example, your phone bill. The phone company takes the money from your account automatically each month. But you can cancel it any time." I said, "That sounds helpful but also a little scary." He said, "It is safe. Banks have strong consumer protection laws. If a company takes money by mistake, the bank will give it back." I felt much more confident now. I understood banking much better. I thanked Mr. Patel for all his help. I said, "Thank you so much. You were very patient with all my questions." He smiled and said, "That's what I'm here for, Zoya. Welcome to Lloyds Bank. You will receive your debit card and sort code in 3 to 5 days. If you have any questions, you can call our customer service number, it's on this card." He gave me a small plastic card with the bank's contact details. I put it in my wallet. I stood up and walked out of his office. The greeter lady was still at her desk. She smiled and said, "All sorted, love?" I said, "Yes, all sorted. Thank you for the tea." She said, "You're welcome. Have a lovely day." I said, "You too." I walked through the door and stepped outside. It was drizzling, light rain. I opened my umbrella. I felt very happy and proud. I opened a bank account in a foreign country all by myself. I spoke in English. I understood everything. I even learned new words like cashpoint, sort code, standing order, and direct debit. As I walked back to my dorm, I passed by a red telephone box and a black cab. I smiled. I really am in the now. I have a bank account. I am becoming more fluent every day. Well, maybe not the weather. I still don't like the rain. Now let me review all the new banking words I learned today. bank account, current account, savings account, student account, overdraft, interest-free, application form, proof of address, postcode, national insurance number, nominee or beneficiary, sort code, initial deposit, deposit slip, passbook, transaction, receipt, cashpoint or cash machine or hole in the wall, check, standing order, direct debit, and customer service. I also learned some politeness, saying love and dear, shaking hands, offering tea to customers, and having soft sofas instead of plastic chairs. Banks are very customer-friendly. They make you feel comfortable. Opening a bank account in a new country can feel scary. But it is not. Just take your documents, go to a bank, and ask for help. The staff is trained to help new customers. And if you are a student, look for student accounts. They often have good benefits like interest-free overdrafts and free rail cards. Thank you so much for coming to the bank. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Watch my other videos: airport, restaurant, shopping mall, hospital, gym, university, British dinner, grocery store, and zoo. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye and happy banking. Subscribe Helper 0711.